Perfect. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm happy and excited to have you all here. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about AI and how it's reshaping cybersecurity, not just as a tool, but as AI as a larger system influencer and how it's changing both the attack and the defense vectors of cybersecurity. So tonight we're going to look a little bit about the how AI is changing the cyber threats, how AI is strengthening cyber defense, and why systems thinking matters in this arena of cyber and AI. So we'll begin with a little bit of introductions. I'll introduce myself, then I'll let Christopher introduce himself briefly. So I'm Dr. James Tippy. I am the Associate Dean for the School of Technology here at Excelsior University. So I oversee the computer tech and the engineering technology arenas. But my background is in IT and cyber primarily. So that's hence why I'm talking a little bit about AI and cybersecurity this evening. And Christopher, do you want to give us a brief intro?
Sure. My name's Chris Capadozzi, and I'm an admissions counselor in the admissions office, and happy to help if you have any questions about the admissions process.
Wonderful. We're always happy to have our admissions folks here because if we get admissions questions, you don't want me answering them. So I can take care of the cyber, IT, and academic stuff, but admissions, we lean into our Chris and our admissions team. So one of the questions that starts this out, right? Why AI changes cybersecurity. And I think we know a little bit about this, right? AI is kind of in the process of changing everything around us, um, for the good, for the bad. Yeah, those are debatable, right? But AI is definitely changing things. When it comes to AI and cybersecurity, there's three real things that we want to look at least to start with. One is AI is being embedded everywhere across the digital infrastructure. It used to be you had to, well, if we go way back, AI was something completely separate that most people didn't even know was happening. Although, if you talk to our AI experts, they'll tell you we've been building AI systems for at least the last 50 years, and they've just been growing and maturing over time. But with the advent of ChatGPT and other large language model systems, AI was catapulted into the forefront of our knowledge, forefront of our awareness, but it was something separate. It was outside of our other tools largely. However, that is not the case now. It is in every web browser that you in touch. It is inside the Office suite when you launch Office. AI is just finding its way into everything, cloud platforms, enterprise systems, consumer technologies. We're leveraging AI and particularly large language model AI into all these systems for the good, for bad. It's there whether we want it to or not. And so, why AI and cybersecurity? Because the change is there. And how do we now handle that as cybersecurity experts? That's one important piece. The second one, and this one's been happening at some scale for much longer than unless you've been in the field, you might realize, and that's automation and scale. We've been using AI to automate cybersecurity for at least the last decade, probably a little more than that. However, that has amplified and become much more so the case in the last 3 to 5 years. Using AI to do things in cybersecurity, using AI to help process and filter log analysis, to help watch for network attacks. There's been people working on this for quite some time. But again, since ChatGPT was launched in late 23, AI has really come into its own in a public way, but also in a scalability and automation way. What we used to do minorly is now forefront and center stage. And so that's definitely why we have to adapt to it. And not only on the defender side, not only on the good guy side are we using AI to do these things for automation and scale. What we're seeing is that bad actors are also using AI to do these things. And so that means those of us who are in cyber defense have to respond and be even more diligent and use even more robust tools, which means AI, whether we want it to or not, because we can't respond fast enough. I think back on some scenarios, even within the cyber competition arena that I've been around, not even in production, but 4 or 5 years ago, I was talking to a red teaming, the attack guys that were attacking some of my students in a cyber competition one day. And we asked them how they were doing it, and they're like, it's just scripts, right? We wrote all these scripts and we execute them at this time during the scenario. So every team is getting the exact same attack. Now, your defenses against that attack were radically different as we got into it, but they would execute a script and it was fully automated. The script would just go and do steps A, B, and C against the target. What we're finding now is that our bad actors in the world, especially our nation states and our bigger bad actors, are doing this, but doing this with a large language model and adaptive systems. They are learning how to better attack um, our digital assets. And so in response, we use AI and automation to help defend our digital assets. And so at some level, it becomes this little bit of a battle between systems of trying to protect and attack. So, and the third one is, as you see there on the screen, attack and defense evolve together, right? And so this is what I'm saying. As one gets better, whether that's we get better at defending, which we constantly are, we have some amazing cyber defense systems. We can do amazing things in cyber defense, both using large language models, but also using other forms of automation and AI. We do a great job, and we're always learning new things and doing better things. It's one of the exciting things about cybersecurity. It's a field that's always growing and changing. But what we find is it's an arms race. The better we get, the better the bad guys get at attacking us or finding ways around the defenses we build. The opposite is also true though, right? So as the bad actors get better at their attack systems, we also, the cyber defenders, become much better at defending. So learn a new way to attack. We go and learn new ways to defend against it. And so there is a bit of an arms race that's been going on for quite some time, at least 20 plus years now, since before there was the word cybersecurity, and we used to refer to it as things like information assurance and other categories. But it's been happening for quite a while, and it just continues. AI is just the next iteration in it. I was reading some articles even today about the use of AI in cyber defense, trying to defend against some of these automated attacks that are going on out there. So this means, as a cyber professional, we have to grow and think beyond individual attacks, right? What does this dynamic attack look like? And again, I think back on some of the talks I've had with CISOs and with other folks that are in the trenches. And I sat down one night and I was actually at a meet and greet with some folks, and I shook hands to a CISO that I knew at the time. And I said, "How's your day going?" And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, it's going great." And then he kind of shook his head and he said, "Jim, I don't know why I said that. You may be the only person in the room that'll actually understand this. It's going terrible. We've been under a persistent attack for 24 hours, and every time we think we've got it shut down, they change attack vectors." This was a prelude to what's happening now with a lot of major attacks that are using AI. They weren't just using a single vector to come in at the company that he was working for. Every time they would shut down a vector, the actors within minutes would shift and come at the company from another direction, another attack vector. What we see now with AI is sometimes that shift isn't minutes, but is literally seconds. We can shut down one attack vector, and sometimes the attacker can shift that quickly that they're back at us within seconds. And unless we're using AI and scalable systems to defend, our defenders may not even have time to catch their breath sometimes. So it gets a little crazy. So why AI? That's one of the reasons why AI, right? So, but here's one of my other pieces that I would push at. And this holds true not just for cybersecurity, but this holds true across our uses of AI. Up till very, very recently, we have thought of AI as a single tool. I come back to my initial talk about ChatGPT, right? You go into the web browser, you go into the app on your phone, and you go to ChatGPT, and you use it as this contained tool to help you answer whatever it is you're helping to write an email, summarize a paper that you need a summary of, right? Help you build an outline, help you brainstorm and think through something. But we're using it as an isolated tool that generates content. It's there, it generates content, we take it, we do something else with it. We did the same in cybersecurity. We would take and we would build use machine learning models and AI, forms of AI, to build a neural network that was able to watch our networks, learn what's normal on our networks, and raise an alert that says, hey, something not normal is happening on your network. Or we even got to the point, again, years ago where not only did it raise an alert and send a flag to those administrators and say, hey, something's not normal. You might want to look at this. Here's what I saw. But maybe it wrote a new firewall rule and it changed what was actually going on the network to try to block it, intrusion prevention systems. And we built those, but those were standalone systems that responded to a set of standalone environments, right? But cybersecurity is not just about the tools. Cybersecurity has evolved beyond that simple. We need to put an intrusion detection, intrusion prevention system in. We need to put a log analysis system in, and it's become much more of a system that we have to build to protect our digital assets. And the AI, and now these system includes AI. So these AI cyber defense systems, and to be honest, these AI cyber attack systems include people. Our people are vital. We can't take the human out of the loop. Humans still need to be there to do some of the thinking and some of the outside of the box processing that needs to happen. So we have people, we have data, those data artifacts that we're trying to protect. We have algorithms that are helping make decisions. We have policies about how we're doing this or what we're doing. And then we have around all of this, the organizational decisions that help drive this. And so as we look at AI today, we look at AI from a systems perspective, not just a tool perspective. The tool perspective works great if I'm looking for that outline from ChatGPT, if I'm looking for that log analysis that can look at the logs and say, hey, I see a user that shouldn't be logging in because you don't have users in China, right? We don't have anyone in China that should be logging into our system. Why am I seeing this person try to log into China 15,000 times in the last hour? That's probably a problem. And so that's a very low level, tool level use of AI to help alert on those things. If we want to approach it from a systems perspective, though, instead, these systems influence how decisions are made. And so we build these larger systems that maybe take our log monitoring and our neural network that's monitoring our network and add in some large language models, so LLMs, and use it to help put up flags, help take steps within the policies that we set to make these decisions. What threats are detected? What responses are triggered? What is the risk and how are we prioritizing it? And so we're shifting from AI assisting it doing it to AI really helping to influence what we're doing because AI is in the background helping make some of these decisions. And so how we're using AI, what we're using AI for becomes even more vital, more crucial as it becomes more centralized to what we're doing. So, AI, and again, you can't help if you watch the tech news at all, AI's is around. AI keeps evolving, keeps changing things. Literally today, like I said, I saw one on integrating AI systematically to help make these decisions much quicker, at a much greater rate than what had been done before. And to be honest, right, at one level, it's kind of scary, right? We're turning over some of the controls to a computer. Why, though? We're doing this for a few reasons. One is visibility. AI can analyze massive amounts of data and detect those anomalies much faster and much more efficiently than a human can. I think back to 25 years ago when I first started really working in a network sysadmin role and I was managing networks and servers. And part of my job was to scroll through the log files every day, right? Some days you just literally couldn't get through them, right? You'd get 10,000 log file entries. Well, there's no way a human's reading 10,000 log files. This was a relatively small network. Fast forward to a few years ago when I was doing this still before I went into teaching full time. And in one day, I generated not one day, in 1 hour, I generated 450,000 alerts on one of my many systems that I was monitoring. We were using some basic machine learning, some basic log analysis. So I didn't even try to read them, but there would have been no way. And that has just continued to grow over the last several years. And so visibility becomes very important. Prioritization. AI helps us determine what really matters, what's really vital, and what threats need our attention right now. Again, I come back to those early days when you were scrolling logs. until it got overwhelming, it was hard to know when you're trying to a human trying to read 10,000 log files. AI looks at it and says, "Hey, I've got multiple attacks coming potentially because attackers don't always attack from one place, but it looks like the majority of them are happening from this location or this IP address. This should be your priority to defend." And so it helps raise that prioritization. It can also help with automation. I talked earlier about intrusion prevention systems, IPSs. A centralized AI can do this beyond just a single network or a single system, and it can take steps automatically to help us eliminate a potential threat within the rules and parameters and policies that we put in place. But it can help do some of that automatically so that when the attack happens at 2 a.m. and you're sleeping nicely in your bed, you still may get woken up, but you're not woken up and trying to determine what that next step should be that you should take. You're reviewing the steps that AI has just taken and making sure they were the right steps and moving forward from there. However, human judgment can't be gotten rid of. Ultimately, we still make the strategy. We're still accountable. We still make the ultimate decisions about what AI is doing in our systems. And so we end up with this balance. And it's been a balance we've been trying to build towards. I don't know that we're there yet. I don't think we probably are because we're still trying to learn what large language models and some new AI models can do. But we try to find this balance between automation to help keep us safe and human oversight to make sure we know what's going on our networks. Because we can't say, oh, AI did it, I'm not responsible. At the end of the day, the human being is still responsible. We're not handing over responsibility to the AI. We're using AI at a systems level to help us monitor our entire infrastructure, our entire systems to help better protect them. But we're still the ones setting the policy. We're still the ones choosing which AIs to use, which steps it will take when an attack is detected. And so we strike a balance between AI automation and human oversight. When it comes to the attack side of the house, right, they are definitely doing this. Our attackers out there, just as AI is strengthening our defenses, they're learning to use it too, and they're using it very, very well. They keep changing names, they keep changing some location, their hosting location, but there are AI models that don't have all the guardrails on it. If you go out to ChatGPT and you try to get it to help you write some malicious code, it's got guardrails on there that won't let you do it easily. I'm not saying you can't do it. There are always ways to find creative ways around the guardrails sometimes, right? But there are other generative AI out there that are written just to do that, to help write malicious code, or help write an adaptive phishing attack, right? So we launch phishing. Still is our greatest risk from cybersecurity. It's the greatest way that they get their first foot into a network. Still falls back to phishing. But if we think back to late 90s, early 2000s, we may not click on the email that says the Nigerian prince wants to give you $10 million. It worked in the day. Sadly, it did, right? But they've gotten much more sophisticated. Add AI into that now, and they can draft a very believable, very sophisticated phishing attack, and they can assess and evaluate data analytics. When it's worded this way, we get a greater number of clicks than when it's worded this way. And so they are able to adapt their phishing emails using AI so that they get the most possible clicks. Kind of scary, yes. Kind of crazy, yes. It also lets them be highly personalized in their messages where they can refer to you by name, company, all these things that make spear phishing, which used to be more, the reason spear phishing was less is it was more human-centric, resource heavy to do it. Introduce AI and it becomes a little less so that. And so we're definitely seeing some adapting phishing accounts, phishing attacks happening, automated malware. AI can help them modify the code rapidly to evade detection. Again, that data analysis. When we issue this code, it's being picked up by the firewall. What happens if we tweak it? Oh, we tweaked it, and now the firewall and the antivirus software is missing it. It doesn't know about it yet, and so they're much more quickly able to write and deploy those zero-day viruses that the AI that our internal antivirus systems and firewalls cannot detect, and they get through. And all of this is done through feedback loops, right? So try an attack, take the feedback, evaluate what happened, try again, evaluate what happened, change, try again. And we get these much faster feedback loops on the attack side, all of which lets them move faster, more targeted, and more scalable than ever before. Scary, I know, kind of terrifying when I put it that way. Not trying to scare anyone, certainly not trying to terrify people, but there is an element at which cybersecurity we are the defenders. We stand in the gap and we try to stop these scary things from happening to our friends, our family, our companies, our nation. At all levels, we are working on cyber defense, which means we try to stop these scary things, and we do a very, very good job of doing it. I again think back to I've been using spam blockers for a long time on the network level, and I had one day I was chatting with some folks that weren't in IT, weren't in cyber. I was actually at a university, chatting with some professors, and one of them said, I got a phishing email the other day. Why can't you guys block those? And it had been a long day. I was not always the politest sometimes. And I looked at him and said, the reality is I blocked about 99% of the email that hits our domain. He's like, what? And I'm like, no, seriously. For every email that you or anyone in the company gets, I block 99 of them. So I'm sorry one got through. Please forward it to this email so we can train our system to better catch it. But understand we are doing it, right? Cybersecurity is one of those places, and AI just continues to make this case. One of those places where we need to be right 100% of the time as cyber defenders. That 1% of the time that we are wrong means that something got in. And now we're down to trusting our systems and people to catch it and stop it. So we do a great job. They're just always, the attackers are getting smarter and better, and we get smarter and better to stop it. It's kind of a crazy world. Attack as systems, right? So here again, we talk as system level. I was talking about defense as system level. This is where attacks are doing the same things. Anything I'm doing on the cyber defense side, the reality is the cyber attackers, those bad actors out there, are doing the same things, right? Their systems are evolving over time as well. They are building better systems. They're leveraging automation to continuously probe our systems for weaknesses. Back to that, we have to have our systems up and protected all the time. And we have to have layered and defended protection, because if we've got a weakness, they're going to find it and they're going to exploit it. They're continuously evolving. Speed and scale is continually progressing. They're getting faster and bigger in their attacks. And it puts us, the defender, at a bit of a disadvantage, right? So how do we protect everything when the attacker only needs a single pathway? This is the hard part. Cyber defense is not always, not always easy. It is a challenge to defend systems, especially complex and large systems that we are building today. So just keep that in mind. If you're interested in cybersecurity, it's a great career. It's a lot of fun, but it's not always easy, right? We do our best. We do our best to defend. Cybersecurity professionals, we adapt. We must keep changing. And one of those ways we do that is by adapting systems thinking, understanding our defense, not just as I have a firewall, but I have a firewall. I've got an IDS, an IPS. I've got a spam filter. I've got all these pieces, and we understand the larger system, how they interlock together, how they layer on top of each other and provide defense in depth for our company, our friends, our family, our organization, so that we can best protect those things that we are trying to defend against. So things to keep in mind. So AI, again, we're back to a little bit here on AI-driven cyber defense. My big lesson for anything AI is let's please find ways to keep humans in the loop, right? I don't want to cut you out. I'm not saying there's not a future. I am rather saying that you are a vital part of an AI future, for sure. AI is transforming our defenses. We're doing this all the time. We are getting better at detection. Machine learning models are better than they were last year, and they'll be better tomorrow than they are today, right? We're just getting better and better at detecting, and faster at doing that analysis so that we can detect it. We're getting better at responses. Again, I've been in IT and tech since the 90s. I can remember lots of bad things that came along that weren't where they should be. the responses are getting better. We're getting better at automating things, right? I think all the way back to where, even putting a new video card into a computer was a huge process because there was no plug and play. You couldn't just plug it in and hope that the IRQs and the different settings would be set properly. You had to know them and set them yourself. We're so far beyond that. The same is true when we look at cyber defense now and automated responses. I remember talking with and doing, actually setting up IPSs, intrusion prevention systems, and thinking, you know what? I don't know that I want to enable the prevention side of this system. Detection might be good enough because I don't know that I trust the system to properly implement a firewall rule to block this and not shut everything down. Those days are gone. We now have systems that are trustworthy, that have proven themselves to be reliable. And so our automated responses are getting better at blocking suspicious traffic and responding to challenges that are coming at us. AI can help us monitor compliance, risk exposure, and security posturing, right? I was talking to one of our CIOs not too long ago, and they were using an automated system to run some basic pen testing challenges against their network that they didn't have the human power to do it and didn't have, so they leaned into an AI system, and it was phenomenal. I got to see what it was doing. He let me peek under the hood, and they were able to detect and find some unknown vulnerabilities. They thought they had their network secure, and it exposed a very easily exploitable um, vulnerability. It was a missing patch in the network that all of their scanning had failed to miss. But because they were able to use an AI-enabled pen testing system, they were able to find it. And then they were able to quickly respond and patch it. And so AI can sometimes help us with our beyond compliance. It can help us even with our detection systems. So the goal, again, is not to replace human defenders. You all that are wanting to go into cybersecurity, those that are in cybersecurity, there is a job in cybersecurity, and we need more people. We have a radical shortage of cybersecurity professionals, actually. Instead, we need to learn how do we use AI to augment the human capability, to make us be able to process more log files, to be able to spread our ability further and faster than we can on our own. And that's really where we're using AI-driven cyber defense. All of this happens with human oversight, right? I keep coming back to this, but I really do mean this. AI augments humans. AI does not replace humans, especially in the world of cybersecurity. Um, it can't replace our judgment. Second, systems fail. I mean, systems that shouldn't fail, systems fail. AI, IT is all about redundancy. We put redundant systems in place all the time. And yet, I can tell you from experience, systems fail. Now, depends who you work for, depends on what scale. They may fail less in some places than others, but they fail. And so we work to build this, right? AI systems fail. All you got to do is go use ChatGPT, and you can find it hallucinating. You can find it making up data. The same is true in AI cyber systems. They sometimes make up things. They have false positives. They misinterpret the data. And so again, we need people in there to help catch those failures and make it and check it and balance it, put it back, help reprogram it so it does better next time. And third, accountability matters. Like I said earlier, we're not checking the accountability off on AI. We're not saying, oh, the AI system's accountable, the humans no longer are. No, we're using it as a tool to augment what we're able to do. When something goes wrong, the responsibility remains with the people and ultimately the institutions that hire the people, which is still the people. So how do we keep the human in the loop in an AI-enabled cybersecurity model? That's really the question we all wrestle with still. The other piece of all of this, right? So AI is not, I know, and again, AI in cybersecurity, but AI in general is not just technical. AI is so much more than a technical challenge that we can simply say, yep, there it is, check the box, we're done. Cybersecurity is not just a technical challenge. Cybersecurity is all about people. AI in cybersecurity remains all about people. There are many ethical and social questions that arise. Do I have answers for all of these? Certainly not. Do I know what all the questions are? Probably not, because it's still such an evolving field, right? But some of them are bias from training data. How do we answer a bias question in AI for cyber or AI in general, but bias comes into play. Many times, decisions made by AI lack transparency. We can't open up the box of AI, the little black box that is our AI system, and see what is going on inside it. There is a mystery that happens there. There's a lack of transparency. And how do we address that? How do we build systems that are more transparent, that are still doing a great job with AI, but are more transparent? There are ways to do it. They're not easy. They're not always done. Um, and so there is privacy also as another concern, right? What data are we feeding into our AI systems, and who has access to that data? We need to be concerned about privacy. We think of privacy when we think of finance and healthcare, but all companies have private data that we won't need to take care of and need to maintain. And so these balance of these three things begin to play into the ethical and social impact that AI in cybersecurity can have. And so all these questions revolve and affect public trust. And at the end of the day, cybersecurity is all about public trust. Well, and trust of your company, right? Again, coming back into my personal story a little bit, I've had many bosses over the years, CEOs on down, that come to me and say, how do we know we trust the system? How do we know we trust the new employee you just hired? We're giving you the keys to the kingdom, as it were. You have access to all of our data. The system has all of our data in it. Can you tell me why we should trust it? And so cybersecurity becomes a conversation around trust. So how do we secure this trust? The same way we've been securing it for decades at this point, literally, only now we add AI into it and it gets much harder in some ways, right? Back to transparency. Do we know what's going on under the hood? Can we see what's happening? Even if those non-technical folks in the company can't fully understand it, can we explain it in a way that they can grasp what's happening and understand how the systems are operating? Can we explain our decisions in a way that they are justifiable to others around us? And are we ensuring accountability? Are we remaining responsible for the decisions we're making? If we can accomplish these three things, they're not always perfect. Like I said, oftentimes AI is in a black box. Oftentimes AI is not as transparent as we might want it to be. But if we work towards transparency, explainability, and responsibility, we can help build trust within the systems and within ourselves, or for ourselves within companies. Things to keep in mind as we're building AI cybersecurity systems. So all of us want jobs. Many of us have jobs. All of us want future jobs in cybersecurity, and it's going to be using AI. So what are the implications for the workforce? One is we need to implement systems thinking. We need to understand how technical, human, and organizational systems all interact and what that means, both from a defense and attack perspective. We need to layer in ethics and technology, not ethics or technology. We need to recognize that there are social implications of security decisions that we're going to make. These social decisions may be within the company we're working for, or they may extend beyond the company into the larger society. And so we have to be able to do these things. And all else, we must all remain adaptable. Cybersecurity threats, cybersecurity field evolves constantly. It revolves around continuous learning and continuous adapting to what is coming at us. So as we look at our cybersecurity career today, we look both, and I talked to the hiring manager, I talked to the CISOs. They're looking both for technical depth and strategic perspective. They want people with ethics. They want lifelong learners. They want team players. They want people who can communicate, right? All these pieces come into what they're looking for in the workforce. AI plays a central role in all of that. So how does this work out for Excelsior, right? Well, uh, I'm here to tell you we work on all this, right? We integrate ethics across the School of Technology, across cybersecurity programs, whether you're looking at the bachelor's or the cyber level. We're integrating ethics into all that you're doing. We're trying to help you ask those real world big questions around the ethics of cybersecurity and why they matter. We're helping to integrate systems thinking and a systems mindset, thinking about how technical systems and business organization and outside threats and risk, and all of this begins to weave in together to make you a better cybersecurity professional. And workforce readiness. Our goal is that our students not only learn technical skills, but are ready to go out into the workforce when they graduate and be the leaders in cybersecurity that we know you all want to be. So, wrapping this up, and then we'll talk a little bit about our programs, why this matters. AI adoption is only accelerating. It's only getting faster. I lean back, like I said, I look back and I talk about in late 23, when ChatGPT first launched, that seems like so long ago on one front, and on the other, I'm like, that seems like yesterday, right? AI adoption is only accelerating. It's only going to get faster. We're only implementing it in more and more places. It's only so. How do we? So we have to adapt. We got to be ready to do this. This is why it matters. We got to be ready systematically and from a systems approach to adopt AI and integrate it into our systems. The bad actors are already scaling. They're already doing this. If we're not doing it as cyber defenders, we're falling behind, which is not good, because if we fall behind the cyber attackers, our data is lost, our companies are compromised, and we fail to do our jobs, right? And so preparation is critical. We have to prepare the next generation. That's you. It's part of the reason I got into teaching, was because I wanted to prepare the next generation of cyber defenders. I started teaching cybersecurity because I can defend one company, but if I can train 100 students, they can defend 100 companies. And so I pour my heart and soul over the last several years into preparing the next generation. And that's what we're working hard to do. Essential that we maintain secure and trustworthy digital infrastructure. And that includes the human element to make this happen. So that's why it matters now, today. So I'll pause for a minute, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Excelsior University. I'll go through these a little bit quicker. If you have questions about these, feel free to reach out to Chris or myself. This gets a little bit more into the admissions talk now, but then we'll swing back around at the end for questions about either. So, Excelsior University, we're accredited not-for-profit, founded in 1971 to meet adult learners where they are, right? Geographically, educationally, experience-wise, we want to meet you where you are and help you get to where you want to be. So that's a big part of who we are as Excelsior. We have degrees within the computer tech program that start at the associate's level. We have an associate's in computer technologies. We have 3 bachelor's level programs: cybersecurity, IT, and computer science. This talk today has been largely around cybersecurity. What you'll find is we're integrating these things across all of our programs, just to have a different focus. If you're studying cybersecurity, it's on cyber. If you're looking at computer science, it's around a little different set of things. But the systems thinking, the ethical integration, the future technology, and AI is being integrated across all of our programs. And we have a master's in cybersecurity at the master's level. So we can, again, meeting you where you are and helping you accomplish that goal. Whether it's an associate's level or a master's level, we're here to help. We have a new degree modality that we're launching in the St. Petersburg, Florida. If you happen to be in St. Petersburg and you want to do hybrid cybersecurity, we're there to meet you there as well. We're launching bachelor of cyber, master's of cyber in a hybrid setting. So you would come in every other week into the lab and be able to touch and do some physical cyber stuff. And our first location is in St. Petersburg, Florida. Some benefits for Excelsior, right? The application is free. Go online, apply. If you have questions, Chris is happy to answer your questions, and his fellow colleagues. We have a team of admissions folks that are phenomenal about answering admissions questions. So feel free to reach out. We always work to maximize transfer credits. I've been a part of many conversations recently about how we can do that, how we can help maximize transfer credit to help you get through your degree faster. We do run 8-week courses. We start 6 times a year. Other than the hybrid, it is asynchronous learning. Excelsior has Center of Academic Excellence by NSA for our cybersecurity bachelor's and institutionally for overall. Military-wise, we are a yellow ribbon program. Lots of good reasons to come to Excelsior. So again, Have you completed any of these things? This comes back to we want to maximize your transfer credit. Courses from other schools, military training, college level exams, credit for prior learning, certificates. We try to help bring it all in and help get you as much credit towards it from the get-go as we can. A little bit on each of the degrees really quickly. I'm going to fly through these slides a little bit, but our associate's degree, those foundational skills to equip you to get you into a technical workforce quickly. There are some cyber, some IT courses in there. It's a very technical, very get you into the workforce fast type program. We have our bachelor's in cybersecurity, which has 2 concentrations currently. Cyber operations, which is much more focused on cyber defense, and then our general concentration that lets you be a bit more fluid with the credits that you either take with us or transfer into the general concentration. We have our bachelor's in IT, which has a cybersecurity concentration. If you want to do something more IT-ish in focus, but with a cyber flavor, we've got you there too. Networking, and then again, that general concentration. Computer science, we get into that heavy computer science stuff, that heavily theoretical, while still layering in the practical and the ethical components. Artificial intelligence, data science, networking and cloud, and software development are our 4 concentrations for computer science. Masters of cybersecurity, information assurance, and again, that general concentration that allows for a little bit more choice in what you're taking. What you can do, right? Computer specialist at the associate's level, database administrator, server administrator, maybe at the IT level, comp sci, maybe you're going to do business analyst, software engineer, AI computer scientist or AI specialist, cyber analyst or cyber engineer, and our master's degree leans more towards the cyber management or cyber management side of the house. So getting started, you can request information here. If you have questions, there should be a Q&A for you in the forum here. Put them in the chat, ask us questions. We'd love to help if you have any questions. This is your chance to ask. I know you can't unmute, but you should be able, there's a Q&A section. You should be able to put them in if you have any questions. Let Chris and I know, and we would be happy to answer them for you. If not, you can find admissions on the website. If you think of something tomorrow that you come, or later tonight, you're like, oh, I wish I'd asked. You can find admissions on the website. You can also find me on the website or on LinkedIn. James Tippy at Excelsior. That's where you'll find me at. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Reach out to me on email. My email address is jtippy@excelsior.edu. It's linked out on the website under my bio. We'd love to hear from you, if not tonight, tomorrow, next week, whenever we can answer some questions for you. I see your question, David. I'm gonna here. We can talk. We'll talk more about that later if you want to. Oh, the program ended. Yeah, that's an older program, I think. That's what I was trying to remember. BS in Technology program. I think that program predates me, David. But I'm sure admissions would love to connect and talk if you wanted to come back. We can find somewhere if you want to talk to me about what we can do. I can't talk and type, so. That's what I figured. Yeah. You got lots of credits built up. Yep. So there's my email, right? I'll drop my email in the chat to you. But yeah, I'd love to. We'd love to talk further about that. That's kind of my Stephen dropped something. Yep, yep. Yeah, Stephen, great article from whitehouse.gov about the American Pillars of Cybersecurity covering AI. AI has become such a crucial part, right, of all that's going on out there from the federal level down. So perfect, David. And project management is such a crucial part of cybersecurity, right? Or anything in IT for that matter. We all have to, we all have projects to manage. So, well, let's stop the recording.